Welcome to week 2 of Coop's college football FanDuel parlay picks. This is a series where I build a little juicy parlay for the college football games going on this week, and I share with you what my picks are. And the cool thing is that anyone who leaves a comment on this video is eligible to win some money. Basically, if my parlay does hit from this video, I will pick a few random comments and send you guys a piece of the pie. It can be PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, whatever you prefer. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, Canes fans and my college football family. Let's go ahead and start this thing off with showing what my picks were from last week, and let's see how close we were. Was I able to hit on that 7-leg parlay that we made in last week's video? Unfortunately, we missed. Now, we were actually pretty close. Before we dive into it, let me add one quick disclaimer here. Make sure that if you're going to bet on sports that you are of legal age and you are betting in a state where sports betting is legal. And I also want to let you know that this is not betting advice. This is simply my picks and what I'm doing this week for college football, but it's in no way advice. So what we had here was a 7-leg parlay last week. I actually did bet on the Miami Hurricanes, and I don't typically do that, but I was feeling good about that game, and we hit on that one. We got the Tennessee one right, but the Ohio State game, I had them as 29.5, betting on the spread, laying the points, and they only won 23-3, so they only won by 20 instead of 29.5 or more. We hit on the Penn State, we hit on the Tulane. UCLA won by 14, and I laid the points at 14.5, so close on that one. And to be fair, I'm not making excuses, y'all, but I had Clemson money line to wrap this thing up against Duke, and I don't think anyone saw that coming. I mean, real talk, 28-7, absolutely wild, and it just shows how difficult it is to hit on these big parlays and just how difficult it is to bet on college football in general, especially week number 1, because we didn't know what all these teams were about going into the first game of the season. So with that being said, it's week 2. We at least have a little bit of a better idea for some of these teams. So let's build a juicy parlay and try to make some money this week. And the first game that I'm going to place a little bet on, and I think that it might surprise many of you, is the Nebraska-Colorado game. I talked about Colorado and TCU last week, and I said there's some money to be made here if you've got the balls to put some money on Colorado. And they did, in fact, end up beating a TCU team. A TCU team that was probably overrated, though, if we're being honest. Now, this week, Colorado takes on Nebraska, and Colorado is now ranked number 22 in the country. And believe it or not, I'm going moneyline Colorado here. I kind of wanted to take the points at 2.5 with Nebraska here, but I think those Colorado players are fully bought in, and they believe in Dion. With that being said, it's a home game for Colorado. I think Colorado can win this one. I don't believe the words that are coming out of my mouth, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm going moneyline Colorado for the first bet in this parlay. Now, we're going to go right under it and go ahead and drop a bet on this Utah-Baylor game, and I'm going to lay the points on Utah because I do think that they win by 7.5 or more. I honestly think it's probably 2 or 3 touchdowns that they win by. Now, Utah did take care of business against Florida last week with a backup quarterback. I think that Baylor might be rocking a backup QB this week for them as well. And no matter what the quarterback situation is with Utah, they showed that they can win with their number 2 guy in there. So I think this is a pretty safe bet, and I'm going to take Utah in this one. Staying away from Notre Dame and NC State, but I will definitely be watching Sam Hartman. It's going to be a home game for the Wolfpack. That'll be a very fun game to watch. Another one I'm going to bet on here is I'm going to take money line on this Kansas State-Troy game. I'm going to go money line Kansas State. I think this is a pretty safe, easy bet to make. And this one is more so just trying to beef up the parlay and add an extra leg to it. Again, I tell you guys, my betting motto is low risk, high reward. So I typically only bet $5 to $10. And I try to build big, juicy parlays that typically don't hit, but if they don't, I'm only out $5 or $10. And if they do hit, it's anywhere from $200 to $800. So it's very easy to get your money back, even if just one parlay hits in the college football season. So that's just my motto, in case you didn't know. And we'll go ahead and take that money line, Kansas State. The next game I'm going to look at here is definitely not Miami and Texas A&M. This is one where I think that Miami pride could get in the way a little bit. I am predicting an A&M victory by 3 points officially, but I'm not going to put any money on that game. So we're going to stay away from that one. I am, however, looking at this Ole Miss-Tulane game. You guys know how I feel about Lane Kiffin. I'm actually a pretty big fan of his, whether you like it or not. It's just the truth. And they put up 73 on Mercer last week. Tulane is probably much better than Mercer. Not probably, they are. However, I expect Lane Kiffin to put his foot on their throat and put up a lot of points. With that being said, they have them as a 7-point favorite. I am 100% confidently locking that in. I think Ole Miss rolls over Tulane. 7 points, that's easy money in my opinion. So we're going to rock that one. What else do we have here? What else do we have? Staying away from Washington, Tulsa. North Carolina and App State. I mean, that could be another one that you could add money line maybe to beef up a parlay. But at 1,400, like, it's not really worth it. I'll just stay away from that one. We'll try to keep it a 7 leg or less is what we're shooting for. I think I'm actually here going to look at this SMU and Oklahoma game. So Oklahoma as a 16.5-point favorite. It is a home game for them. As Miami fans, we're a little familiar with SMU. Head coach over there, Rhett Lashley, former offensive coordinator for us. It really should be called SMU, with some emphasis on the U, because they got a lot of players through the transfer portal from Miami, names that we're all very familiar with. SMU is okay under Rhett Lashley. I like the style of offense that he runs. However, I am actually going to lay the points here on Oklahoma because I do think they beat them by quite a bit. SMU might be able to hang with them for a couple of quarters, but the real question here is how long do they hang with them? Because I think at the end of the first or going into the third, wherever it may be, I think Oklahoma really starts to flex on them, and they take care of business by quite a bit. The next one, so we're up to a 5-leg parlay currently. I almost wanted to do this Cincinnati Pitt game. And what I was going to do is take the points here with Cincinnati at +7. I do think that Pitt probably wins, but I think that Cincinnati can keep it within 7. But for this week's parlay, I don't feel comfortable enough. I need to see a little more from both of these teams before I start betting on games that involve either one of them. One that I do feel pretty confident on, however, and this one the spread here on this game kind of surprises me, this Oregon and Texas Tech game. And I'm not even going to think twice about laying the points here on Oregon as a 6.5-point favorite. Oregon won last week, I think like 81-7, probably scored the most points in college football week 1. Will they do that against Texas Tech? Are they going to put up 80+? Absolutely not. But a 6.5-point favorite, I get that it's at Texas Tech. Texas Tech lost to Wyoming last week, I think, in overtime, right? I just very confident here with Oregon. I think that's an easy one to add. And coming up on the last game that I'm going to place a bet on this week, and it's the Texas-Alabama game. This one, man, Alabama won last year, but only by 1 point, 20-19. And Texas should be a pretty good football team this year. They got off to a slow start against Rice last week, but they did end up winning the game, no problem. Texas coming in ranked number 11, Alabama number 3. I'm going to lock in moneyline Alabama this week against Texas. And I don't know if that's going to surprise you guys or if you're going to say that seems like a Coop pick for this game. I don't think Nick Saban lets it be as close again this year. Alabama definitely has some things that they need to work on for sure. But I think that Alabama does win this one. We're not going to mess with any over-unders this week. Still not confident enough to pull the trigger on any of those in just week 2. And I'm not going to, the spread here, this makes sense. 7 points. It was close last year. Both of these teams should be pretty good this year. So I'm going to play it safe, or what I'm calling safe, and go money line here with Alabama. So this week we're rocking a 7-leg parlay, and I do have a bonus bet actually, which is really nice. So we'll lock that in, but we're actually going to throw an additional 5 on there. So this week's bet is going to be $10 to win $321.50, and it would probably help if you guys could see that, right? So here we go. 7-leg parlay, bonus bet locked in here on your screen. $10 total wager, payout of $321.50. And this is my official bet that I'm going to lock in. The only reason why I don't go ahead and click it right now is because then it brings up another screen, and I don't want to show any other information that, you know, I don't want getting out there. But as you can see from last week, I locked that bet in. We didn't win. We dropped $10 on that bet, so we're negative 10 in the hole right now after week 1, but trying to make a strong comeback in week 2. Don't forget, college football fans, leave any type of comment on this video. It can be critiquing my picks. It can be talking about some bets that you made this week. It can be questions about betting. I don't claim to be an expert. I've only been betting on sports for about 2 years now, but last year we ended up winning around $900. We were positive 900. So we had a little bit of success last year. I don't try to make a living off of betting. I don't have enough money to make big, large bets. And honestly, I prefer the low risk, high reward type of bets anyways. I find that to be much more fun. So make sure you leave a comment, because if any of my parlays hit, I will pick a couple of random comments and send you guys some money, a little bit of piece of the pie from these bets. But hey, I love this series, guys. I think it's a lot of fun. And it's going to be interesting to see some of these that come up later on in the season. Hey, remember though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family. But at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.